Mr. Transformers 96 here with another video, and I'm going to talk about a newly shown item. This time it's from the Studio series, and it's kind of their map, their layout for the upcoming Devastator figure, which is comprised of 8 different regular figures. So this is quite exciting. We've seen some of these, 4 of these have been shown, like the actual figures, and then there's 4 that have still yet to be shown, but now we get to kind of see like how it all kind of looks together, which characters comprise which part, as well as the scale of those characters unshown, and the estimated release date of those characters as well. So this is quite exciting. So definitely a lot to talk about here. This is probably the most excited thing for the Studio series, and for me personally, I'm big fan of Devastator, and I really love the look of the Constructicons, and was always very happy with the Constructicons figures from Revenge of the Fallen, but there was definitely a few that I still definitely wanted, specifically Scrapper. So now just to get them all again, and the proper way where they all transform into 3 things so that they can build Devastator, is really exciting. So first of all, I'm just talking about Devastator, the picture that we have here. This looks like it's like a render, but kind of based on the toys. So I think this is like a solid look at what we can kind of expect him to look like. Obviously in person it's going to be a little different. We've seen him in person, but an unpainted prototype. So it's really hard to get like a flavor of what's going on. But overall, he looks really good. The prototype looked great as well. And yeah, so we've seen Longhaul, Rampage, Scrapmetal, as well as Hightower. Those have all been shown. Hightower and Scrapmetal are going to be the only 2 deluxe figures in this assortment, and then they comprise of one of the arms. And then we have Rampage and Longhaul, who comprise of the legs, and they are leader class figures. Rampage is the only figure that like you can buy now. He's not like very easy to come by, but there are certain places that are selling him. There's a couple of them on eBay, things like that. So Rampage is just starting to come out. So he's the only one that like you can actually get your hands on at the moment. And then Longhaul, Scrapmetal will be following, and then in about August, I believe, is the estimated release for Hightower. So now the others that we have, as far as the other Voyagers, Scrapper is going to be a Voyager, because he basically comprises the right arm, which is essentially the same type of size that the 2 deluxes kind of put together build. So that's nice to see. That looks very cool. I do hope that it looks that good, especially the fingers look really nice. And yeah, I can't wait to see him in his robot mode, just because we've never had a figure of Scrapper before. It's going to be exciting. And unlike Scrapmetal and Hightower, Scrapper's actually in the movie. Like those other 2, their construction vehicles can be seen, but they actually never transform into a robot. So seeing them in the robot mode and everything is like, oh, that's neat, based on concept art and stuff like that, but it's nothing too special. Scrapper, though, is a lot more interesting because he actually does transform into the film, and we never got a figure of him. And then, as far as the other Voyager, it's going to be Mixmaster, which is the head. Mixmaster is my favorite Constructicon, so I'm very excited to get another version of him. I am a little, I'm really hoping that it's going to be better than the first. With both Longhaul and Rampage, they made them significantly better than the first one. So I am very hopeful in that regard, but my only issue is having him transform into the face of Devastator. Like, I don't want him just to have a big Devastator face, like, hanging off his back or anything like that. So I'll be very interested to see if they can have him transform into a really nice looking head sculpt for Devastator, as well as Mixmaster in robot mode. Like, I feel like you can't do both. Like, one of those has to be compromised. So we'll have to see. I'm holding out hope, but I am a little worried that Mixmaster is not going to be fantastic in robot mode, to be quite honest. And then most interesting is his body. Now a lot of people were like, I remember when this movie first came out, I was always confused as to what the body was. Like, I knew Scavenger or Demolisher, whatever you want to call him, I knew that he was the body, but I was always very confused about what Overload was, because he is in the movie the robot mode, the vehicle mode, and I just never quite understood what part he comprised of. But I guess he comprises of kind of the lower half of the body and the connecting pieces of the legs, like the thighs essentially. So that's interesting. It's a nice way to form the body, and having 2 figures. Obviously, Scavenger we did get a figure of, but a Voyager class figure, and what's interesting about it is that I'll be interested to see how they do the tires. If they're going to do the same system where it's that one pole that like collapses and creates like a circular formation of the rubber wheel, and then you can extend it and the rubber wheel just kind of goes over it like treads. That was actually a really smart design. So I'll be interested to see if they do the same thing for transformation, or if they kind of hide the wheels in the back somewhere and then they just kind of swap out pieces. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. He's obviously going to be red. Obviously, Demolisher in the beginning of the movie is white, but by the time that he becomes Devastator, he is red. Now, that similar thing kind of happens with Rampage. I was always confused if Rampage, if he was a red leg or a yellow leg. I think he's a yellow leg, if I'm not mistaken, and then just the Rampage that we actually see in robot mode is red. So if that is the case, that means that the leg here is inaccurate and it should be yellow, but I'm not 100% sure if that is the case. And then Overload, it'll be interesting to see his robot mode. I remember seeing concept art of his robot mode. It's like kind of like a spider crabbed. It's like a spider legged, but he's got like some claws up top. So he should be an interesting one, very similar to Hightower, where he's got a really weird, almost insect-like robot mode that we never actually saw in the movie. So it'll just be kind of based off of concept art, but I'll be very interested to see how it looks. One thing that's exciting is both Overload and Scavenger will be leader class figures, which is very nice to see. And yeah, so definitely quite a lot of bulk going on this guy. I mean, it's just crazy to see that like this guy is going to be comprised of 2 deluxe class figures, 4 Voyager class figures, and 2 leader class figures. Like, this is probably going to be an insanely large figure, which I am extremely excited about. And it's so cool to see that they're not cutting corners and just like combining the body and just making it one person, you know, or anything like that. That they're actually giving us every single Constructicon, like unequivocally every single Constructicon. It's very exciting. I do plan to buy them all. And the release date on the unshown ones is early 2020. Is early 2020. So it's going to be in a year from now. I hope it comes out like very early 2020. When this guy was first shown, the prototype at, I believe it was San Diego Comic-Con, I was really hoping to have him built by the end of this year, 2019. So I am a little disappointed to see that that's not the case. I wish that they kind of, like, when they decided to do this, I wish that they just kind of did them all at once, you know, and just, it would have been really cool if they just came out with a Constructicon wave, you know, and just like the deluxes were the 2 deluxe figures and the Voyagers were the 4. They kind of swap them. They usually do about 4 deluxes versus 2 Voyagers. They swapped them for 1 wave, and then they had the 2 leaders. I mean, that would have been really great for me personally. I would have been all for it. However, maybe I think that it'll just be like this will sell better if people can afford to kind of split up the payments, you know, over a year or so. So that can certainly help as well. That might be their thought process there. I do plan to get 2 of every single one of these, to be quite honest. I really would like a cool set of Constructicons, and then I want Devastator, of course. So, I mean, if I don't get 2 of every single one, I'll be skipping ones like Scrapmetal and maybe Hightower, just because we don't see them in the movie, you know. So I might just be okay not getting 2 of them in their robot modes, but I would love a full set of them in their robot modes. I think that would look cool. And then of course I have to display one as Devastator too. So overall, I'm extremely excited for this figure. Can't wait for its release. And yeah, definitely be buying them and reviewing them. So let me know what you guys think of this new breakdown for the Devastator Studio Series figure, and thanks so much for watching.